Well, that's when I take advantage to key up Jaws music. That's what yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Something shiny. Bloody hell. Oh, impossible, I should imagine. Yeah, just got to make sure no one spots those other ones. 'Cause I don't think you can turn those off. Mm. I promise never to touch them. No, that would be a total douche move. I've just realised there's a cat on top of my unit looking at me. So I'm not usually in the conservatory. So, hmm. My mouth has suddenly gone dry. What the hell?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bits and Pieces podcast, episode 24. 24? Yeah, got no one else to help me on that one. But hope you're all good, hope you're all well. And yes, another week has flown by quite quickly. These weeks come around really fast. So today on the podcast, unfortunately, we do not have any PizzaBeth with us, but the Freedyshow will be joining us shortly. We do, however, have one of our special guests. Well, he's been on the podcast recently. I'll say recently, it was like episode 13, I think it was. So it's actually quite a while ago.
13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
episode 13. So it's almost 10 episodes have passed. I mean, I look forward to the next 10 episodes, I guess. But yes, a warm welcome into WereJellyogre. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You know,
Hey, how you
I
doing,
think I'm only
Jelly?
here to fill Beth's shoes.
Yeah.
And also because I threatened if they didn't let me back on, I'd hold my breath
Yeah.
until you let me back on.
Oh no. So how are you doing? How are you keeping? How's
I'm all
things?
right, actually. Yes. Yeah.
I hear we've actually let it in. We're gonna let you you got a game for us this week as well. You want a
I do.
spotlight,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah. I would like to talk about my spotlight about a game called Road 96.
Oh, okay.
And
Excellent. And
it's I
where's that
think it is
available? Is it on Steam?
I think it is a PC crossover, but it's just come out on Xbox in the
Okay.
last day or so.
All right.
And I bought it on because I quite like the look of the like the little vignette they did. And what it's about is it's going to sound really weird when I describe it, but basically you play as a teenager trying to escape from a like a totalitarian country. So you're trying to make it to the border. So it's like refugee simulator basically, but it's your journey. You've got a journey of 2,000 miles, and it's sort of documenting your journey like through your travels. And like you can catch cars and you meet people, and every time you meet someone, you have your interactions, and how you interact with them sort of determines how they're going to treat you later on. But it keeps going on about how teenager disappearing and things like that. And as you're going along, you can get arrested and then you get thrown in jail, and that's the end of that journey. So you then pick it up with another teenager, and you can restart from scratch as another teenager trying to escape. But your interactions carry on, and your actions from the previous carry on. It's like there's you can deface like the the pictures of the president because there's an election coming up, and you can sort of promote the opposition party. But there's also like this bimbo who's goes around in a limousine, and she's like the president's PA lady. And when you get into her car, you can either be nice to her or you can be a bit of an idiot. I was really nice to her the first time, and I got captured. And then I had my second go, I managed to escape, and then a third go, she asked me if I wanted to be the cameraman. So I then was able to sort of like guide the camera around and like look at the opposition person and make them look in a good light rather than the president's person. So it was sort of, that sort of says, "Oh, right, that's going to affect you later on." And you the more people you meet, like you meet a kid who's a game designer. In the first one, he asks you to like, "Oh, test my game," and so as you go on, this game, depending on what you've done, evolves. So like it's basically like a little tank shooter, and you sort of say, oh, "I want more ammunition," or "I want bullets to bounce," and things like that. So then you're in the next following play characters, you'll come across this game, and it'll have evolved from what you said, and you could actually make it total trash and like give them really bad advice. And I think obviously then maybe the game will tank. I gave him good advice, and suddenly this kid is raking in money hand over fist. And there is a resistance called the Brigades, and you keep meeting people who have been in the Brigades and things like that, or there's also people who are hunting them, and you can like meet people who might want to join them. The only thing I didn't like about it is that the Brigades are supposed to be really, really top secret, but everyone will tell you that they're in it within the space of 10 minutes by saying, "Oh, I think I'm going to tell you this. I shouldn't do, but I will." And well, I'd like to wheedle that out of you a bit rather than you just like picking me up on the side of the road because you can hitchhike and you're telling me about it. But graphically, it's sort of like a bit retro. You know, they're sort of like painted ones where they're slightly blocky graphics, but they're there's nice colours and everything, and like the views and the scenery as you're walking along because you're going through like deserts and canyons and things like that, round lakes and whatever. You can sit there and have a look at the view, and you camp out at night because you've got to manage your food and your water, and also your rest. So you could go and rent a crappy caravan for the night or a motel, or you could go and sleep under the cardboard under the sun. And so that all adjusts your stats and everything. So you've got to stay rested and everything because at the end that really does play a big part in. You've got to have the right amount of stamina at the end. But you can like interview people, and there's different ways of escaping. Like you can get in the back of a truck, or you can try and get through the mountains, or you can get captured. To be honest, but you meet one bloke, and he tells you something. I won't tell you because it's sort of pretty vital for the plot. But then after he tells you that, you start seeing signs offering to basically dob him in for a huge amount of cash. So I haven't done it yet, but I am very tempted to sort of see how that plays out. But all the characters they seem to know each other and they interact. It's like this. There's a truck driver who knows this policewoman, and at one point she let me off when I got captured. I got blackmailed by a guy into working on his petrol pumps, and it is just so nice. And the music is spot on. It's so atmospheric. It's actually quite creepy. The game, the way it's done, is almost like a psychological horror. You do feel yourself on edge, like when it says, right, do you want to walk along the road? And that's when you can get picked up by the cops. It's like you're just hitchhiking, and every time you do something, it will take you closer to the end of the road. So you might sort of travel a mile, you might travel 10 miles, or you might be lucky and get picked up and you can travel 100 miles. But there's like a big map, and it shows your progress. And it gets really exciting towards the end when you're getting within 50 miles of it, and you sort of think, oh, I'm near the end, and then you start getting towards checkpoints and things like that. So I would highly recommend this. It's called Road 96, not 69. I have been trying desperately not to say 69. I knew I was going to do it. Yeah, highly recommend this. It is very much an edge of your seat thing, and it's dirt cheap. I think it's under a tenner. It's really quite cheap. I don't know if that's a promotion they got on the Xbox or not, but it's yeah, I'd say it's worth the money and
Road 96.
definitely one to look at.
Yeah,
and very streamable as well, I'd say.
Yeah, just looking at that now, actually, the trailer for it, and yeah, it looks quite good. It looks, I like the color of it. It's like, look, so it's Digix Art, and Ravencolt was the developers and published by. It looks good. It looks like the colors of it look really bright and colorful.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely one that I not heard of, but you could pick them up quite easily. It's I'm trying to think of what else it reminds me of, but it's trying to think of something. I think it was called.
It's almost like a low res Borderlands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, I like it. It's got a good aesthetics to it.
But it's say the mixture of the graphics and the story and the music does get you going. I mean, it really does sort of put you on edge in some of the things. You know, like you find there's two robbers who turn up and they're quite funny. So you get a bit of humour, and then suddenly you're being hunted by the police. So you sort of really does a bit of a roller coaster on your emotions.
Yeah.
But I can see it being a really good game that streamers would do, where you actually get the interaction from your chat onto what to do next, because you get quite a bit of time to make a pick. There are some time limits on there, but not many. But yeah, the chat can get involved, and it's a really nice story. And every time you play it, it's different.
It does look, yeah, like I said, it does look good. And I was just running the trailer just now for anyone who was watching. Yeah, it looks cool. I like those sort of like graphic style games sometimes. It's like takes away, because that's the whole point of gaming, isn't it? Like you want to get away from looking realistic. Photorealistic graphics are okay in certain areas, but not necessarily.
Sometimes these sort of graphics make a game more immersive.
Yeah.
Because you carry on realizing you're playing a game and that you're getting dragged into the story rather than sort of thinking, oh, it's more like a film and I'm just sort of plodding along. It is on rails. Right. You can't go wandering off into the desert. You are very much sort of this is your next stop. You are going here, but you can bypass things by sort of choosing to hitchhike rather than catch the bus, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, if you might skip someone who can help you or who's going to affect it the story further down the line.
And it does have, like you said it. Now, where can we get this if anyone's interested? I notice it is on Steam.
I got it on Xbox Live.
So
the Xbox Store.
Xbox Store, right?
Yeah.
And so what was that? Is that Game Pass or is that?
It's not. No, it's not on Game Pass. It is one you have to pay for.
You do pay for this one, okay?
But it's under £10, I think. I've got a feeling it's like $6.99.
Oh wow, that's actually a lot cheaper than on Steam, because yeah, they're currently advertising it for $16.96, which if it's for £10, you might as well get it if you can get it on the Xbox Store, then great.
Yeah, on the Xbox, yeah. I mean, that could have been I got it just before release date, so I might have got a deal on that.
You might have got a good deal on it, but yeah, it looks good. It does look good, and one that I wouldn't have picked up on. Again, I would, because you're more focused, like you're more console Xbox player than sort of PC.
I'm just
so
purely console,
which is actually really good and helpful in some ways, because we've got Freedy, who's obviously not here at the
Computer.
moment. His computer,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
he
yeah.
has like PS5. So we got people who've got PS5s, Xboxes. It's always good to have someone. I've mostly concentrated on PC gaming, so I would have missed this one had you not mentioned it, because even though it is, again, like I said, it's on Steam, I would have missed it and I would have looked over it. But
I think a lot of people would do. That's the joy of like the Xbox store.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the good thing and the bad thing is that it really doesn't have that many games coming out on a given week.
Yeah.
You know, you've probably got like 10 games a week of that, if that, as opposed to like 100 coming out on PC. But then again, the downside of that is you've got 10 games a week coming out as opposed to 100 on PC.
Yeah. Well, although having said that, if you look on, especially more so on the Steam store, you can get a lot of crap on there, to be fair. It's well, I think we had discussed it before. You've only got to go through some of the recommendations that it gives you, and you think, well, why did you recommend me this? Because I've maybe because I've purchased or clicked on a game previously, and it's like, oh, it sort of then follows what it knows what you want, or thinks it knows what you want, and you end up with loads of crap. It's like you can
Totally.
I have mentioned it before. I'll mention it just briefly again, but it's like I clicked on, like, I think it was Lost Ark, probably because not because it's graphically it's great, it is a good game to look at, but probably because it's got violence in it, and it's cartoony violence. It's not, the blood status don't really stay there, but you have to enter your birth date to get onto that page to look it up to try and buy it. And then the next game after that, immediately after that, is all sex and nudity. It's like without actually asking for your date of birth, and it's actual full-on like sexual intercourse, and it's ridiculous.
Oh, no.
Like it's like, how do you allow that on the store? Sometimes some of the crap, like, it's obviously done in a game.
Anyway,
but I mean, it's like,
not Legendary Larry style.
No, it is like sort of. It is almost full on CGI. You know, it's just ridiculous the amount of like games that are out there. So some of these noteworthy games, not always. It's not always what cracked up to be. Sometimes some of them are awful.
Which, like the other day, I think it's on your stream where we were discussing a podcast. My father.
Oh yeah, my dad wrote a porno.
Yeah, like I like searched that and started listening, and thought I'm killing myself laughing.
Actually,
I was past in bed.
I must
and I kept the wife awake. But my search now on iTunes is dodgy. I think that's the right way of saying it.
I must sort of briefly mention our friend Yorkshire Bee, who's one of our regulars, comes in, and I don't think I might have been streaming at the time. It may have been.
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
which I'm going to get to a little bit later. Actually, we're going to have a
segue.
A segue, yeah, good segue. We're going to talk about Phasmo later on, but before we do, she was just mentioned there's a podcast, and the podcast is linked to an actual book. I don't know it does mention, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Rebecca or something.
Yeah, yes. Belinda Blinks, I think it was called.
That's it. Belinda Blinked.
Which is kind of, which is an actual, like, you can imagine, like during, I think it was 2015, the first one came out.
Yeah.
And then 2016 was the second book. I currently on the second book. We should. Well, I know. Let's get on with. Let's stick to our own podcast. But it's worth mentioning. I think it's worth mentioning, actually.
Yeah.
And, If those guys actually hear us, we are the Bits and Pieces podcast. We are a gaming podcast.
Yeah.
Just give us a little shout out now and again. You know, we've done you the favour. We scratched your back.
The favour, but then again, knowing your content, maybe not.
Maybe not. No, that's actually it's a good listen. It's a good 24-minute sort of roughly episodes, which nicely put together.
Nice and bite size.
Nice bite size.
I listen to them very often whilst I'm gaming, to be honest.
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
I've actually caught myself. I'm walking through London, and now it's sort of open to whether you wear masks or not. So I've got my full face exposed, as it were, to the world, and I'm laughing to myself. I'm laughing to the world while I was listening to it. And I look, and I actually mentioned it to our friend Yorkshire Bee. I said to her, the best place to listen to that podcast is on public transportation. You know.
Oh yes.
You know.
It used to be, wouldn't it? You'd listen to music and then you'd always find that one guy on the train singing away, not knowing what the hell that everyone else was listening to, and then realising that he probably didn't know all the words.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's like the worst type of karaoke, isn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, so I think moving on.
Hey.
Oh, we got Freedy has just joined us. It looks like he's just coming into the call now. So welcome in, Freedy, the Freedyshow. We've just finished speaking about Jelly's game. Well, actually, and then we sort of kind of segued into talking about a podcast, which isn't ours.
No worries. Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
But how you doing, Freedy? Welcome in. Just sort of introduce you into the call. Everything good and well. That's what we like to hear.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
it's a little late today because I had to look after my daughter while my missus was out. That's all taken care of, and I'm back. Yay!
Hey, well,
so I've never been away.
Right. So now that what was that?
I will admit, I was hoping that Freedy was going to bed and Freya was going to turn back up. But,
yeah.
she could very well still come back at some. So yeah.
So Jelly, can you just once again just remind us the game that you were just talking about, and just before we move on? And
yeah, it's Road 96. It's available on Steam and Xbox, and I should imagine on PlayStation. And it is a very, I would actually class it as almost a psychological thriller of a game, but it's beautiful. The graphics are amazing. The music is fantastic. It's actually a soundtrack I would like to download.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that's going to be different every time you play it.
Cool.
So it's got legs on it, and as I said, as we were talking, I think it'll be a great stream title.
Stream title. I'll have to look that one up. I might actually add that to my list, and then sort of like try and fit
How long
it
is
into
this
my
list?
schedule.
I was listening to it, so it looks really good to me. So.
This list is getting longer each week.
Yeah, I know, right?
Every time, because we're mentioned game, and then like someone else will mention a game, and then you go, "Well, I'll add that to my wish list. I'll add that to my wish list."
Yeah. Never ending wish lists.
We can also avoid a lot of things as well. So just go back to sort of like at least episode 22, I think. Where there's a couple of games there that we mentioned that get a good sort of like backlash, I think, from us. But yeah, we don't just say the nice things. We say the nasty things. We mix it up.
Say that. I say everything.
we say everything. It's not just called the Bits and Pieces podcast for nothing. Hey, we definitely pick up on
I tear it to pieces.
I was going to say, yeah. Steve says the nice things and Freedy says the nasty things. It's like the Bits and Pieces, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Well, I
comes from a good place because I care.
I sweet talk him into the station and Freedy beats him. Oh no, he doesn't beat him up. Sorry, that doesn't happen.
They haven't caught us yet.
Right. Let's move on quickly before we get ourselves into any trouble. Freedy,
open up.
Do you want to take the next one, or do you want me to go take this one? Because I'm
you're the host. You're the host of the most.
Right. Okay. I'll go next if you want to get yourself ready for the next one.
Get my notes together.
Okay. So we have mentioned this in comparisons to other games quite a few times, but we've never spotlighted it. So I'm going to do that now. The game in question is Layers of Fear. So Layers of Fear is a psychological horror game, and it was developed by Bloomer Team and published by Aspire. It was released on Windows. I think Mac as well had a copy. Just checking. Yeah, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. It came out in February 2016, and basically you play you control of a psychologically disturbed painter who is trying to complete his magnus opus, his great masterpiece that he wants to do, and you basically go to this old Victorian mansion, and I think it is set in the 1920s. If I check my notes, I think it is, but yes, the 1920s, and it's in the United States somewhere. And so, yeah, you go into this mansion and you're trying to finish off your grand masterpiece. So goes through as you go through the entrance of the doorway, and it opens up into this sort of area, this dining area. There's rooms a couple of rooms to the left, a couple of rooms to the right. You've got an upstairs. As you'll imagine, it's an old house. Areas that you must sort of try to investigate as the game progresses. So you need to try and find, I think you need to find keys, or it unlocks. I can't remember a mechanic to it, but it's a very good psychological horror game. It's one of those horror games that, again, like I said, we always go to, as it's our go-to game if we want to sort of describe a certain game at the time. Let's say Misery Mansion, for instance, when we was talking about that, and it was easier to sort of compare notes. This has one of those great mechanics in the game where, as you progress through certain corridors in the game, things change, and they change in front of you instantly as well. Sometimes they don't always change in front of you. Oh no, you've only got to turn around and all of a sudden something's behind you and it scares the living daylights out of you. It's one of those games that I'd love to do, but because I know the outcome, I'm not sure if it's going to affect me the same way as it did the first time around. It's one of those first off plays that you do. You want to get involved in it quite quickly.
It's saying you want to play blind.
Play blind, yeah. Play it blind, and that way it gets the jump scares are much more sort of unnerving. Yeah, yeah. That definitely. That's the good way to sort of solve this. It is a story-driven game. It revolves around sort of puzzle solving as well and exploration. There was a DLC. I think it was DLC. Yeah. Which is a direct follow-up to it, which is Inheritance. Now you do discover throughout the game that the artist who doesn't actually have a name. I don't think his name's ever mentioned. But yeah, you go through. I think you got to return because you're there because of a court hearing, and you want to, like you said, you want to finish off your magnus opus. After you had the first layer, so you go into the painting room, and you're and you'll start your first painting, and then you've got to explore throughout the world. A door opens, you start exploring. The first part of the game is very tame. The jump scares are very sort of like tame. Occasionally, like there's rats running through the house as expected, or sometimes you'll hear rats. You think that's the noise. There's certain noises within the game that are there as a memory more so than an actual thing. So you think you'll hear rats, but you don't see them. It's the mechanics in this game were the best sort of like game mechanics I've seen up to this point of its release, at least. It was really very well done. Like seeing a sign that says "Don't turn around," or "She's behind you," and you turn around and she's behind you, and those jump scares, like why did you listen to that? You don't think? But if by not turning around, you don't sort of start, nothing will happen if you try to progress on. So you got to sort of move around, and you look around trying to find the opening to a door that is no longer there. Going into one room, and the room becomes endless of looking for a door. You take your turn back, as you exit. You think you're exiting the room that you've just come from, but it isn't. It's all changed, and then you're in basically walking into a circle. You're looking for a door that's not there. You have to go loop it around about 4 or 5 times before you find a door. Then it opens into another room. It's like this endless maze of you feel like you've taken the wrong turn. But like I said, if you try to backtrack, sometimes you'll go back to a previous area, or sometimes you don't. It's the way the mechanics in this game are very good. The way they designed this game.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing trick of the mind sometimes, and it's those when you think you've got the typical sort of trope of the picture eyes moving, they are actually moving. So that's what really makes this game a lot more exciting and scary at the same time, because you don't know what's around the next corner, and then when you do think you know what's going to happen, something completely different happens as well. It's like I think I was walking towards a doorway, and then there's a screech sound. So you'll look to wherever the sound was, and you'll look back, the doorway's gone, and there's a piano there, and you're like, where does this come from? How did that even appear? It's the way that they have made you as a player off balance. Is like the sound design in this is very, very good, because they've obviously try to do it so that you hear something from the left, so you'll turn left. If you hear something from the right, you'll turn right to focus on what that sound was. And by doing that, they're adding they're add something else behind you. So as you turn back, you'll get jump scared again. And I love how they did that. I love how they managed to incorporate those kind of sequences throughout the game. It is heavily inspired by PT, which is the tester game which got cancelled from I think it was Silent Hill.
That was Silent Hill, yeah.
It's never been cancelled.
But yeah, so that was heavily inspired. So I guess this is their sort of nod to that game. Realistically, this is what it is. But yeah, it's really great, engaging game, and as I said, it has a story there. As I was just going to come to, the Inheritance DLC is about his daughter, which directly plays on from that ending. So as she's a little bit older, so you know that there's his wife and a daughter is involved. He was a heavily alcoholic person. Like, this game tells you that as you go through, and that's kind of inspired. Like, you could see that he was heavily alcoholic through the amount of bottles that are left lying around in certain rooms.
Dark story.
There's a very dark story to it. Yeah. Very dark. There was 3 endings to this game. I think I'd done 2 of them. So it has got replayability to it.
Yeah.
Depending on how you played it, I can't remember the exact endings. I was just trying to look up. I don't think I actually had that put down. But there is 3 endings. The end of the sloop ending shows that the artist working on the portrayal of his wife as the masterpiece. He seemingly succeeds in creating the painting, and steps back to Amai only to see the figure of his wife devolve into a mutated figure. There was that ending. There was the family ending, and then there was the selfish ending, which I think I probably did get. I think it sounds about right for me to sort of like go through, but the selfish ending where I don't want to spoil too much of them, but there is 3 endings for that, so it's worth playing through again, depending on how you played the game, I guess. Like in most cases, if you collected every sort of collectible and pieced them all together. I think Inheritance also had a true ending as well, a true ending and a false ending, or a bad ending. Oh no, that was 3 as well. There was a good, the bad, and the true in Inheritance game. So it depended on which way you took. I know that if you took a certain path, there was always leading you to be with the mother, and another pathway which led you towards the father. So if I chose to constantly go. I chose 2 endings. I chose the father ending at first because I looked it up and to find out. It just means that you get the father like daughter sort of ending scenario.
Oh,
So that was very interesting. So that was again, it's well worth going through. There was a sequel to the game. It didn't do as well as the first one. But again, it's still from the same developers, the Bloomer team. But this was their sort of like, I think their first sort of game that they'd done. As I recall. I could be wrong. If someone corrects me on that, it's fine. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. But the jump scares were great. This would have been a great one for me to have played with Jelly in my chat. I'm sure because you do love does love a Leroy Jenkins moment.
Sounds like needs to be revisited.
I probably would have actually had an actual heart attack through this game. I've played a lot of games since then which have similar sort of aspects to the game, jump scares and that, but I think this is what really set the benchmark. This really gave the benchmark to a lot of games to do good in your jump scares. And
it didn't actually just rely on jump scares. A lot of the game, modern horror games, they sort of think all we got to do is give you jump scares. It didn't do that. It had psychological horror. It had am I doing this wrong?
Atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmospheric horrors. The jump scares. It also had gore, but not over the top gore. It didn't sort of like Outlast level gore. It touched every sort of genre of horror game, and didn't overdo it. It actually made it work. I think it's one of the first games that actually managed to do that, and where it's keeping you off balance because you didn't know is this going to be a psychological bit? Is it going to be a jump scare? Is it going to be gory, or is it actually going to be quite nice in there?
Yeah,
that also kept you off balance.
Yeah. No, I like this is again, like I said, this is one I would go back to, but I don't think it's going to have the same impact playing it through the six because you kind of know what to expect. But because of the endings, it is worth trying if you are a 100%er on games, you might want to give a completionist. That's the right word. Yeah. If you are a completionist,
sounds like you'll get one more ending.
That plus the DLC has got 3 endings as well. So and I do recall that being free. So it's such a great great game. Lot of atmosphere. I think music was good. The sound design was brilliant. I think that without the sound design, this is one of those games that I always go back to whenever I talk about horror games. Like I said, the mentioned sort of topics that we picked up on. I don't like porcelain dolls, and I don't like sort of. I can't go to an art museum because I don't like looking at paintings. There's certain paintings I can't look at. It's kind of there are some nice like realistic sort of like facial paintings. I don't like those. This game has porcelain dolls and paintings, so it's like my biggest nightmare anyway. So straight away I already had a fear of a real life thing, and it's in that game. And it's probably not the best game for me to play in all fairness, but actually I suppose it is. You face your fears, right? So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a great game. Like I said, I bought it on PlayStation 4, but it's £15 on Steam if you buy it now currently. You do get if you get $16.99 is the inheritance. I would say they probably was
It's probably loads cheaper on G2A.
It probably
or CD keys.
If you get CD keys would be an option, and just look out for I think Prime Gaming as well. They might throw it up at some point. Maybe Epic Gaming free.
Epic Games made it free, and the
It's
second
one of those ones. It appears every so often like the sale, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like
free.
It's like Alien Isolation will come up again and again. Just keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
And I
around about Christmas time, they give away like 20 games on Epic Games and Amazon Games, so you're more likely going to get that included in the free games bit because it's one of the, of course, it's a popular title. They'll include that. So yeah, necessarily, and I think it's only a couple of quid anyway on CD keys, but it's definitely worth owning. Definitely.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite horror games actually, and I haven't finished it yet. I started streaming it. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I literally crapped my pants, and the jump scares got me so bad, I nearly fell out my chair a couple of times. And that was us without chat scaring the bejesus out of
Yeah.
me. There's a fella called Sneak Assassin who constantly gets me with this little command that I have for him, which plays a song really loudly. It absolutely killed me. It's the few times I've nearly died playing horror games because of that sound effect. But the game is great. It's one of the better horror games. If you've never played a horror game before and you want to get into the genre, Layers of Fear is a great way to go about it because it covers all the bases. It does something for everybody, and it's original in its execution. It isn't like played by numbers. Oh, I know what's happening. This, that, isn't it? You know, and you know what to expect if you've watched horror films and stuff. This one, you don't know what the heck's going on, and it does keep you engaged, and it just has the right level of everything just to keep you on your toes and unsettle you and scare you at the right moments, especially when it builds up the tension, which it does very well. And a lot of horror games don't build up tension. They just like straight away it's either full on in your face jump scares or they trickle it in really, really slowly for a large payoff. And then at that point you can predict what's coming because you've had it trickling for so long that you know something's coming. So this one does. This is the first game I've played that really caught me out of didn't know what to expect. So from that perspective, um, it's definitely something you should go in blind if you haven't watched any playthroughs or anyone playing it for yourself. But it's also really fun to watch people suffer through this game as well.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching you both suffer through these games.
Just to mention, actually, it's $129 with DLC on CD keys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
price of a chocolate bar.
Yeah,
it's
do you know what I mean?
Worth having.
Well worth having. It's worth getting that. So yeah, give CD keys a go. Excuse me. So,
that's less than many of the over 50s plans that are on TV. So that would be a better advert for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. No. There we go. That's my spotlight. Like I said, we keep mentioning it, but we've never really fully covered it and gone sort of dive depth. Yeah. That's. And anyone else got anything to add? Otherwise, we could just move on to Freddy's spotlight.
I think that's a sign of a good game is when you mention it, but you don't spotlight it. Is the fact that it's that good that it's become your go-to benchmark.
Yeah. Well, that and
Alien Isolation, and I know you've done
Isolation.
Yeah.
No, we've done because we have done it a couple of times. Yeah,
and also Outlast on the other end of the thing is your benchmark for being crap. Basically.
Yeah.
I would argue Misery Mansion is up there for the crap one.
Oh, yeah. It got three times we've mentioned it tonight, and you know, if you want to listen to it, episode 22. If you want, but wait until you finish this episode before you go back to that, because we've still got a few more to go. Like I said, I think Freddie, you've got a spotlight for us now.
I do, yes. So I'm going to be going still in the lines of horror-esque, but I'm going to be spotlighting Aliens Fireteam, which came out a little while ago and has been getting some updates recently, and is on Game Pass, funnily enough, after I bought it on Steam.
Yep.
So cheers, cheers, devs. You could have told me it was going to be on Game Pass, I never would have bought it. So paying for it twice. Actual fact, I did buy it for. I bought it twice. I bought it on PC, and I bought the actual physical copy for my Xbox to play with Jelly and our friend Sneak. I think we only played one game because just never really got around to playing it anymore. But the game is a third-person co-op based horde mode shooter set in the Aliens universe. And it's basically you're a colonial marine and you're part of a squad, and you're basically sent to outposts to go down to planets basically and find out why, the usual tropey storyline. This colony's gone dark, communications are missing, blah 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 has not happened. We're in Utani of blah, 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 blah. So it follows the same sort of story beats as as the other aliens, colonial marines, which is like you go in and you got to find out what's happened, find out where the people are, find the aliens, and then pew them all to death. And that's pretty much the storyline. There is not much to it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And now the game is playable. The game works for the most part, but this game could have been and should have been one of the better Alien games, following the heels of obviously Alien Isolation, which everyone holds in such high regard. And if they had just copied that atmosphere, first person or third person shooter, allowed us to, get stalked by the aliens properly, to make use of our equipment to find them, and then obviously have your segments where you're getting, you know, bull rushed by loads of them. Imagine that having that sort of scale running at you in first person shoot. You would crap your pants, and crawling on the walls, coming underneath the grates, underneath the floor,
Yeah.
everywhere. That would be god tier. Um, Incredible, and that's what a lot of people thought this game was going to be until the trailer dropped, and it was like, "Oh, it's a third-person Gears of War style shooter." Oh, great! And then you could hear the groans across the planet, just, it's disappointment. And unfortunately, just like being British, this game is disappointing. It's just a disappointment. It's horrible. It's a horrible, disappointing run of a game. It's still fun to play, and I will get
Yeah.
to why. But for the most part, this game is tedious, and it don't work properly. Console ports, hey!
Yeah.
So on the PC, it's a complete cluster f bomb. It is absolutely awful. I was playing it earlier, right? I thought I'd give myself a little refresher. I played it for an hour on the Game Pass version. Got into the mission. Aliens like Jerky Town all over the place, popping in and out the walls. The game literally crawled to a standstill when one of the hunters jumped on me, and the game forgot where the hunter was, and he teleported half a mile up the game, and my character was still stuck in the animation, and I couldn't move. I had to reload the game. He was just stuck like that. Help me! I'm stuck, and he couldn't do anything. And that was playing, and then you have to play with people. You can't play with bots. This must be the worst AI for co-op for players ever. This game is not played single player at all. You cannot play this game single player properly, at least because the difficulties scale up, and so do the rewards. So if you're playing by yourself and you want to play, say, intermediate or intense, which is like hard, you've got about as much chance of completing that on your own as surviving walking onto the sun. It is literally impossible. The AI is so literally brain dead on anything other than amateur or casual mode. They're not helpful. You can't pick a class for your AI partner, and I will get to classes because I do like the classes and the customization options in this game. It does have some good elements to it, but for the most part, the gameplay does let it down from a single player perspective, especially with the dead AI. And even the aliens are sometimes laughable. On certain maps, they'll get stuck, spin around in circles, teleport in and out everywhere. They'll disappear. You'll shoot them, and they'll literally break into cubes. Like they're literally like how they program to fall apart. They won't fall apart properly, and they'll just be like Minecraft. Beep, 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 beep. Just like what's going on here? And then that sort of thing takes it out of the experience. But there are certain levels when it works, when it all gels collectively, and you're playing with your buddies. It is a good romp. It is a good laugh. It's like, oh shit, they're over there. People, oh shit, they're over there. Da, da, da. It does get quite intense, especially on the harder settings. And the game is most enjoyable on the harder setting. The problem is you've got to play through the entire story mode a couple of times to level up your doofus, to get to the good bits. And they've added a couple of new modes which I haven't played. They've got loads of updates coming. There's a big update coming on the 19th of April, which adds a new game mode, a new class, and loads of fixes and gameplay improvements. So they are aware of the issues. They are working on it. They are patching it out, despite that fact that not a lot of people play this anymore. Which is a shame, because this game should have been one of the, because when it was announced, it was hyped up to
Yeah.
unbelievable levels. Everyone was excited about it. There was loads of big streamers. There's a guy called Maximilian Dude who I follow. He's a very big time Twitch streamer. He's an American guy. He's really, I really think he's funny, and he's a big Aliens fan. He's absolutely, and he was he was disappointed with this game, and from a mega fan point of view, you can understand why. He still had a good time with it, but he's basically said the same stuff I'm saying now. It's just very, very linear. There's no sort of progression system. You can level up your guns, but you don't level up your character per se. You can't increase your HP. You can't increase your stamina. You can't increase your carry amounts by a lot. You can only get these mod packs for your weapons that increase things. They might have changed a few bits now, but leveling is very linear, and leveling up and gearing up is very sort of basic. It's not. It could have been easily been a very good RPG investment, like D&D style, especially making your own class, which they should have done. Instead, you've got to pick through from 5 classes. You've got Lancer, Medic,
Gunner. No,
Destroyer. Destroyer. Is it Destroyer? Yeah, Destroyer, the guy with the minigun. So you remember that Aliens 2
smart gun.
The smart gun, that's it. Yeah, so that's my go-to. That's the best class in the game. That's the one I have the most fun with. You got the other one I like. Technician is the other one I like, with putting the turrets down, which can be really fun. And they can all be upgraded, and you can all give them mods and stuff. And the customization is really cool. There's a lot of nods to Alien and Aliens 2 and Aliens 3, the little things you can find. There's hidden collectibles and stuff as well. You can find it, nods to previous films and characters. But the game is like just basic. It's a run of the mill third person shooter with an aliens tin of paint, and unless you're playing with friends, it's very, very tedious. Now the with the classes aspects, I don't know why they did this, but you was leveling up your guns when they first launched, and you was leveling, and that's what you do. You go into the levels, you pick your loadout, you level up your favorite guns. They get stronger. You get more unlockable options. You get more options to mods and things like that. And then all of a sudden they just went, no, we're going to patch all that, and they just maxed out all your weapons.
That annoyed me so much.
Yeah, and that killed the game for me. I stopped playing it after that update, and never explained why. I quite enjoyed leveling up my guns.
Yeah,
I thought, as a means to an end. There was little to do in the game anyway in terms of progression. So, and then you take away the little progression we have, and just like, we wanted to make it more accessible for everybody. Why? By making the game more boring. I mean, it's you've taken your concept and you've just gone, nah, we don't like that anymore. It's like I can't remember. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. Unfortunately, I know there was some talk on Twitter. I know there was some talk on the Steam forums that people were, the whiners. It's too long. I don't want to actually play a video game. I want it handed to me. It's these people that just can't be bothered to play a video game.
Sorry, Free.
That's all right. It's all right, Jelly. Go on.
The thing that really didn't make sense to me about that is they then brought out another DLC which introduced a load more guns, the Wayland Yutani pack, which were all level 1.
Yeah.
So they just bumped up everyone's gun and said, right, all guns are now maxed out. But then said, here's a load of new guns that aren't maxed out.
Yeah.
So you thought, well, why? Well,
yeah, it made no sense. It's like they got 2 different creative directors in this game. I don't know what they should do with it. Yeah, it's very weird, and the game itself lacks any sort of horror. There's no tension. There's no atmosphere.
No.
You get the music cues and the sound effects spot on from the universe. I will say the sound design is awesome. And you get some new alien types, and they all just run at you. There's no unique fights in this game. They're all like the big tanky things. It's like Left 4 Dead. You got tank that runs in and bowls you over. You got the spitters that spit at you from miles away. You've got the jumpers, the hunters that jump at you from. It's literally like beat for beat, but with alien coat of paint, and it gets very, very tedious. That's not to say the game isn't fun at times, and with a group. And I do like the horde mode where you're defending a certain point, and you've got to defend this one point, and they all come at you from all angles, and you've got to try and survive, and you put down all your equipment, and that's a real test of your tactical prowess and how you handle your equipment and that. And with a group of friends, it's a fun game. It's a good game. But with the AI, you can't do anything. You can't do anything on your own, and it annoys me they build this as a single player. and it really irritates me. Is it's not a single player. It's just because you can play it as a single player doesn't mean you can actually play it as a single player. It's just like just a tick box, you know. Oh, we've got to
Yeah.
make sure a single player on there to get all the single player fans from Alien Isolation on here, so they can all. And that's where a lot of the blowback came from, was that the AI was never fixed. And obviously mods to the rescue. There's a lot of mods to this game that patch a lot of it. Obviously they can't fix everything. Just like they tried to mod Alien Colonial Marines, and some bloke took it upon himself, worked on it for 8 years, and rebuilt the AI in the game from the ground up. And if you download that mod pack, it's a completely different game. So you know, it's that is actually extremely scary and very unique experience. But it's a mod, so you know that should have been that. If they had any sense, they should have taken what he did and put it into this game. This game should have been a first-person shooter, and it should have been more tension, more horror, um, more unique locations. I wanted to go like there's so much potential for story situations here, especially since it's modeled on aliens. You could have gone to the Aliens 2 planet and gone through that entire mission following the story beats. How cool would that have been to play Hudson or the other ones, the other Marines, or even Ripley herself, and
Yeah.
go to, even if you just go to that location like as a what if scenario, and you do the same thing, you hold down the same corridors, you have to block off the same vents, exits, and do the same sort of stuff to try and survive. See how long you can survive in that particular map, as in whatever score you get gives you various awards and achievements. There's so much stuff they could do with the alien license and the alien locations that they don't use whatsoever, and it's disappointing. It's a good game with friends, but on its you know, on your own, it's a colossal. And with all the bugs and stuff, I mean, obviously this is pre-massive update, so I might make a little shindig about this in a couple of weeks' time when I have a chance to play the update and see what's changed. But for the most part, at the moment, I can't recommend this game unless you've got it on Game Pass, or you're buying it in at least 60% off. The other thing I really hate about it doesn't have crossplay, so you can't play with those on Steam. You can play if you have Game Pass on PC. You can play with those on console. Um, so that does have some sort of
Yeah.
Xbox crossplay, but it doesn't have crossplay for anything else like PlayStation and Steam. Which it really should have done. It should have had some sort of crossplay. Any multiplayer game these days, I've just said this before. Any multiplayer game that's made, you know, this year or last year should have crossplay as a bare minimum, because everyone doesn't have everything. And there's so many players play on different um, equipment. It's a no brainer really. Especially if you're, you know, this is kind of like a niche market, because this isn't going to appeal to everybody. This isn't going to appeal to all the third person Fortnite players, you know, or the Gears of War fans. You literally all the Alien fans and sci-fi fans are going to want to pick this up and play it, and not everyone's going to have the same um, equipment to play it on. So you're already alienating a lot of your Alien Isolation on the consoles. Hey, boom, boom, um, and yeah, so it could have been so much better.
What
Um,
what disappointed me and what I really wanted to see was like an Alien Isolation 7 Days to Die. Go
yeah,
out and get resources, come back and fortify something.
yeah,
You know, sort of like the last Hadley's Hope,
yeah.
that sort of thing. That's what I was looking for, and it's not what we got.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Prequel Hadley's Hope, where Fallen Marines turn
Hmm.
up. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Modders out there, get on it. Get that idea rolling right now. 7 Days to Die Aliens mod. Let's go. Let's make it. Let's make it happen. Let's get the assets. That'd be an amazing game. I would play that indefinitely, I
Oh,
think.
so would I. Yeah, that's what I
Right.
wanted.
There you go, Aliens Fire Team. Do that for your next game. To make that one. There you go.
Well, we've saved your game.
Yeah, that's it. Jelly to the rescue. Jelly's the man with a plan. Let's get this man as creative lead. But yeah. What do you think of it, Steve? Because I know you haven't played it as much as I have, and Jelly. What did you think of it?
um, yeah, I enjoyed it when we first started playing it and it came out. It was it's very much a like what was the other option? It was a Back for Blood or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Which has sort of a similar sort of like play style. But being in that alien universe was more familiar, because we're used to seeing, like, as we I've already pointed out, the alien isolation is always a thing that you go to straight away. Whilst they're completely different games in what they're selling you, the atmosphere, like, and being a fan of the Alien franchise, this was always I was always concerned coming into it because it follows the Alien, and there has only been one really good Alien game. But the Alien Colony Marines, which was absolute, in my opinion, dire. So for this to come out and follow that, I was like, oh, which one's it going to fall towards? Is it leaning towards the alien isolation, or is it leaning towards colonies? Is it going to be something completely different? It seemed to more or less alien colonies, but still better anyway overall. The overall gameplay of it, I felt, was a lot better. But there was just, like you said, when you're with groups of people, groups of friends that you could actually talk to, and like we could start, messing around, but still have fun at the same time. I've not done this solo, so I don't know what it'd be like going with AI. But other than what you've already pointed out, it sounds awful. It sounds horrendous. So I'm glad I haven't actually jumped into that yet, or at all. I don't think I'm pretty sure I won't.
There is a problem with sort of saying it's a good game with friends. Would you have this? Have the same amount of fun playing? The Left 4 Dead, or which is another good game with friends. Is that not just patching over the fact that it's a crap game, but it's actually been made up by having your mates there? You might as well sort of play World War Z, which is a fantastic game. But it's and done really well. Is it that not just covering over the cracks in the game by saying it's a good game with friends? Because you're still playing a crap game. It's actually your friends who are making it, not the game being an improvement. It's the fact you've got other people there.
Yeah, that's the crux of the problem, and that's where these games get like mediocre or below, above average reviews. Is that they're playing with colleagues, workers, friends, and they're having a good time with your buddies. But if I didn't point out, if you have to play this game with randoms, and with randoms, the friendly fire is on. So I had a couple of experiences, and this is why I didn't play with randoms anymore. So, just to get back to your point in a sec, Jay, as well, I forgot to mention this. Is that I was doing this random map, one of the last missions, and one of the dudes had a flamethrower, and we was killing the wave, and then all of a sudden he just turned around and turned his flamethrower on. It was right at the end, nearly completed the final wave. He turned his flamethrower on us and killed us both, and then left the game. And this happened a couple of times. Right. So as with your mates, as a laugh, that'd be funny. Now and again, once in a blue moon, that'd be funny. And you restart the checkpoint and carry on. But because he left the game, we had one of the bots came in. Couldn't do anything. This is on one of the hardest settings. This is on my Steam account, which I've completed the game and unlocked loads of stuff on. And it just ruined the game for me. I had so many experiences like that. And yes, the game, having a good friends does paper over the cracks of a bad game. And the core, you can see the core of the game is fun with friends. But I've said this before: any crap game can be made fun with friends. Ghost Hunter Corp is a prime example of fun with friends. Playing through a pile of turd.
Yeah.
And it's still fun, good laugh with mates. Although this game isn't as bad as Ghost Hunter Corp. You're absolutely right, Jelly. Playing with friends does paper over the issues the game has, and it gives people a rose-tinted goggle view of the actual game. So when it comes to reviews and stuff, they're not reviewing it from a neutral perspective or an impartial perspective. They're reviewing it because they've been having fun with their buddies. Therefore, that fun translates into the scores. So you're absolutely right. It does play a massive role in papering over the cracks, so to speak. But yeah, I agree with you. It definitely does have that problem in not just in this game, but in game reviews in general. Of a lot of bad games get away with that sort of scoreline because of that mentality with it.
Exactly. At which point you're not exactly rating the game; you're rating your mates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the interaction with your friends, not the game.
Mhm.
Exactly. The crux of Jelly's wisdom knows no bounds. We will just employ Jelly to do all of our podcasts from now on. Hi, Jelly.
I shall quality search everything. Quality control.
Oh dear. No.
So we can go back to podcast number 1 and just redo them all.
Just edit in Jelly a voiceover.
Yeah. Just
At this point, I verbally disagreed with what he said.
At this point, Jelly deleted Steve's webcam in vast disapproval for what he said. Oh, I'm tempted to edit that in just for shits and giggles. Oh dear. Right,
Oh, dear.
yeah, but that's my little spotlight on Alien
yeah.
Isolation. Not Alien Isolation. Sorry, Alien Fire Team.
So
See?
it's so easy. It's so easy
Yeah.
to sort of go into that game, isn't it? You just every time you mention Alien, you automatically want to talk about the best one ever.
Yeah.
It's going back to what we said before about having these go-to games, these benchmarks.
Benchmarks, yeah,
that
exactly.
you
Yeah, exactly.
that you sort of like judge everything on.
Oh, dear. Well, speaking of judging things, I think it's good segue actually to go into the Phasma update. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
so sort of judging things on what we have said in the past. Yeah, so let's go back a couple of weeks. Let's talk about that incident that happened. Let's remind ourselves what happened. So Phasmophobia has been one of this channel's and my Beth's, Fredy's. I mean, we've all sort of enjoyed playing Phasmo at some point, collectively or with other people, or as a group of threes, fours, whatever. So we go to it quite a lot. We pick up on the fact that it is one of the better sort of like indie games that are still being developed, and it is in. We must keep reminding ourselves it's still in early access, so it's gonna have some problems now and again. I want to just go over that whole April Fool's thing that happened. Yes, it was a joke. Yes, it was intended as a joke, but a lot of people were complaining that it was put onto an actual like Steam page, and therefore it should have just been tweeted out. Everyone said their thing. We've already covered that quite extensively last week. Since last week, since the April Fool's patch notes came out, which was on the 1st of April, obviously being an April Fool joke. On the 7th of April, they posted the version 0.6.00 major update. It's a VR overhaul, which included. Now, I will only gloss through some of this because it's quite a long list, but it is on the Steam page if you wanted to just check it out for yourselves. They introduced hiding spots, and this is where it got a little bit heated, and this is where it made the game much more difficult for casual players. And this is what we was talking about. We was talking about casual players not having as good a time as more professional players by taking away certain hiding spots. People complaining that it's ultimately a hide and seek game where you go in as an investigation team and you are supposed to find the ghost, which will, when it does appear and it hunts, you're supposed to be able to try and find a hiding spot because it locks the front door so you can't escape. So therefore it's a hide and seek game. Now the hiding spots in question, I will briefly go over. I didn't cover it last time because I felt it took away from the actual discussion that we was having. So in this patch note, bearing in mind this is on the 7th of April, On amateur, hiding spots. We've been keeping a watchful eye through our employee hidden cameras and have found that a lot of our ghost hunters love hiding spots. So like doors, hiding behind doors instead of hiding into like cupboards, because sometimes they weren't even usable. You couldn't go into the cupboards because they were sometimes blocked by certain things. In amateur, I think they were free, so you could always hide in those. And intermediate, there was a few. So all hiding spots in amateur were okay. Intermediate, there was 3+ hiding spots. Professional, there was 2+ hiding spots, and in Nightmare, there's only 1+ hiding spots. People were complaining that you couldn't always hide behind certain things. Door flaps have been added to small tents. A Maple Lodge campsite, which is one of their most recent maps. They will now work as a normal hiding spot. Several doors, objects, walls have been added or moved to remove several unintended safe spots. Willow Street House has received a significant changes to make hiding spots much more consistent. So that's what they done. There was a new thing with one of the ghosts, the Obeki, that now leaves double fingerprints on light switches, as well, like because it has a unique ability that it leaves behind certain things when you're trying to hunt for it, so you know what it is. 5 fingerprints on prison doors and the keyboard. So if you found those sort of things, you'd find that was the new update for the Obeki. So there's been a few changes on that, and again, I won't go through all of this because I do want to get onto the recent update, and I feel like I'm going to be running into each other, and I don't want to get too confusing because of the changes that they did and fixes that they've done apparently weren't enough. So let's go to the most recent one, just because again I don't want to overstay on that too much. But then there was the Tuesday the 12th. So this is what about 4 days in. So you got 4 or 5 days after the 7th. You got the 12th of April. This on the Tuesday. So this would be the 0.6.1 update overhaul. This is all for the VR as well overhaul that they developed. Again, this has now come on off the backlash of what was recently said. So this starts off. We want to thank everyone for understanding our and patience, and completely a new system for VR will take some time to get right, but we're getting there with the help of your feedback. So we are still working on things, and we'll release several more bug fixes as they get completed. Hiding spots. So we're going back to those hiding spots again. So our first approach to reducing the overall of door hiding didn't work so well, because what they did, they reversed a lot of the doors. So if the door hinge was on the right, they moved it to the left. That exposed any sort of hiding spots that used to be. If the door opened on the right, it would open towards a wall, for instance, so you'll be able to hide in between the wall and the door. They reworked the game so that they put the doors onto the opposite side, so that when you opened it, there was no way to hide behind the door without being spotted by the ghost, therefore taking away the experience of a hide and seek game. So what they did is that they've reverted back to, and I mentioned this myself, I said if they can switch that on, they can easily switch it off. I actually did. If you go back to last week's podcast, pretty much not trying to stand up for the game, but I was trying not to be too biased for the game, being a massive player that I am. And I realised that casual players wouldn't get that, so I had to try and be less biased towards the game. So yeah, this is the hiding spots as it is of this patch update. So Ghost. So let me just get back to what we're saying. In the last update, Willow got the full hiding spot treatment, and the other locations were feeling a little left out. We've gone through said locations to adjust, add or remove hiding spots to make them more consistent and reliable. So they've, like I said, they've gone back to, they've reverted back to some of the doors. So ghosts will now always check behind doors during hunts. So use at your own risk. Several doors and light switches positions have been reverted to their pre-VR overhaul positions, rotations to help with navigation through rooms. So Tanglewood Street House, for instance, added a clutter hiding spot in the nursery, added a plywood hiding spot in the basement, added a cooler box in the basement that the ghost can leave fingerprints on. Edgefield added a locker in the garage, relocated a closet to stop a safe spot. Ridgeview, the ground floor room layout has been changed, added an additional locker in the garage, added a clutter hiding spot in the ground floor walk-in closet, added a cluttered hiding spot in the basement, added a cluttered hiding spot in the living room. Willow Street added a cluttered spot hiding spot in the living room, added a cluttered spot on to the blue bedroom. The armchair in the master bedroom will now move depending on if that spot is blocked or not. The washer dryer hiding spot has been removed to help better spread out the rooms with free spots. Bleasdale Farmhouse added a cluttered hiding spot in the ground floor office, added a cluttered hiding spot in the foyer behind the grandfather clock, moved the fuse box spawn to accommodate this, moved the washer dryer in the utility room and added a blocker, moved the room divider in the master bedroom, moved the room divider in the attic, moved a cupboard in the attic. Grafton Farmhouse adjusted the layout of the ground floor utility room, added a cluttered hiding spot in the utility room, added a cupboard hiding spot in the foyer. Prison added a locker in the entrance room, added a locker to the infirmary, added a bin behind a spot in the cafeteria, added a bin hiding spot upstairs in the cafeteria. New, you can now adjust the forward backwards positions on the VR belt in the settings. You can now change where your journal and walkie-talkie are located in the VR settings belt shoulder. So that's what they've that's all the new stuff, and then there's all the changes. It goes into a lot of the VR stuff. But yeah, it's basically looking what they've done. They've just readdressed their update of that, that of the 7th of April, which was causing a lot of problems, and that's where we go to. That's where we go back to that argument of where is a casual player going to have much more fun in this. Like they said at the start of this, they recognize that they're getting feedback, and obviously they've read some. They must have gone through some of the forums. Someone must have pointed out to them, look, you're going to have to. They've changed the doors back to where they were. So some of them, not all of them. For instance, if you go to Edgefield House, there is the utility room door is still opened to the left side, but that is against the wall. So ultimately, that could be a hiding spot. What they're saying was, in this update, use the doors, but use them wisely. Don't always rely on hiding behind doors. I did try that. I got caught a couple of times today. Actually, I was playing it just today, just to make sure I was, I like to always prepare my mind when coming into this. I knew we was going to talk about it because it is quite close since the last update, and these are just fixes that they've done, and I'm glad that they sort of listened. It sounds like they've listened and they've given the players another chance to sort of come back and go, right, okay, you've given us a game called hide and seek. You took away our hiding spots. Now it's not fun. Within 5 days, they've got back and said, we've now added a few spots. Yes, we've taken away some areas, but the ones that we have left, the ghost will now check. So like, for instance, the hiding behind a door mechanic, that is possible to do, but the ghost will sometimes check it. So, play that at your own risk. But as we've gone through all of those areas, the hiding spots, it's good to see that they've done something right. And I feel like it's the developer does listen, when a developer listens to its core audience, I think that's signs of a good developers. Yes, they made a bit of an error, and I feel like that sort of fell flat on its face when they brought that April Fool's joke out. And yes, we understand April Fool's joke as they are supposed to be, but as we extensively covered in that, as a casual player coming into it, you might felt a little bit cheated, and you feel like you're lost out on a game by watching maybe a professional streamer, for instance, and going, oh, I want to play that. And again, I'm echoing some of the things that we've already covered, so I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself too a lot. But yeah, I really, I would say take my hat off to. It's been the first time I do take my hat off, I think. Anyone who knows me, I do wear a hat all the time. But I do take my hat off to any developers that actually go back on and revert back to doing something that they knew they thought was a good idea and realized, actually, well, let's bring those mechanics, let's bring that doors back. I like the fact that they, on Tanglewood Street, they actually it doesn't say in the update on this update, but it did on the previous update. What they did was on Tanglewood, they changed one of the doors from the kitchen to the hall, and I really like that. I like that they did those changes. They also in I think it's Riversdale. I'm getting my names confused. This is someone who's supposed to have so many hours in the game, and yeah, I get Ridgeview. Sorry, Ridgeview. In the boys' bedroom, instead of having as you entered the boys' bedroom, the closet was facing, was sort of side on to you as you go into the bedroom. It's now facing you as you enter the bedroom. So the fact that they can change the layouts of maps, as and will, but apparently that's what they can do. You know, they've managed to move stuff around. Ridgeview also has a massive update, like a massive overhaul on its layout. As you enter the house, there used to be a work area in the kitchen. That whole kitchen is now moved to what used to be the living room. So the map layout has changed dramatically on that area. As like I said, as a seasoned player. I mean, I've played it since vanilla. Played it since it first came out.
I'd say you're seasoned enough.
Yeah, to know the layout, to know where
well
the light
done,
switch.
maybe.
To know the layouts and to know where the light switch used to be and point it out, and then have someone in chat saying, you get really excited about when you see new changes. I'm like, yeah, I do. The person in question, in case you hadn't guessed, was of course Jelly.
It was me. Yes.
Yeah, pointed out the fact that I do get kind of excited with these updates, and it's true, I do.
Yeah, you light switch.
It's not just a light. It's not just any light switch. It's a light switch that used to be over there, and it's now over here. And
look at this. It's this plug. It's an American one, not a 13 amp.
It makes sense if it's supposed to be set in America, but you know, it's the small details. And a lot of people would say, well, does it matter? Probably not.
It does.
But it does. Yeah, I suppose it does.
The little details do matter.
Little details make a difference.
It annoys me when people say it don't matter about the little things. Oh, yes, it does, because it brings up the whole experience of everything is as it should be and touched up and improved upon. There's nothing worse than having a great concept and then it ruined because they haven't paid attention to the little things.
One of the secrets of having with graphics of getting immersion, it is the little thing. It's the things you don't see.
Yeah.
The bits that you sort of you don't consciously sort of focus on. They're the bits that having something on the table, having a picture in a frame or a photo in a frame. Those little details. That's what drags you in on the emotionally and immersion and gets your immersion going, as opposed to having a blank wall.
Yeah. Could I just add, while we're talking about immersions and going into and different layouts and stuff, because it's Easter currently as of the 16th of April, there is an Easter egg hunt happening on Phasma at the moment, and I've been eating eggs all day long. I've been finding all the eggs and trying to eat them as well.
Can I just say that this update, the Easter egg update, has definitely used sound bites from an Amaranth ASMR stream. And it's in there. Oh my God! What's he doing to his mic? Oh no, it's not. It's eating chocolate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No. Wasn't nothing to do with me. It was nothing to do with me. There was none of my nothing coming from my mouth. No, that was just all in game. That's all in game sound. But yeah.
So what you don't see is that Amaranth was in the corner in the recording booth doing the sound effects while Steve was playing the game.
Shh! I've got to pay her otherwise. Oh dear. No.
Tip,
But
eh?
yeah, I felt like coming this week. We did.
Sorry.
We did extensively cover Phasma update last week, but because it's such a short gap between last week's podcast and this week's podcast, and the updates in between, it was well worth mentioning. And I do feel like it's a good thing for developers to listen to its audience and say, okay.
Well, the thing is, though, Steve, is not enough developers do listen to their core audience and do listen to the casual fan base. Most of the developers usually ignore the casual fan base or the average player and just listen to the group of hardcore players that live and breathe the game, and then they base a lot of their changes around that group rather than everybody in general. So the old adage is you can't please everybody. There's always going to be people that are unhappy with whatever you do. So you can't go with that mindset as I got to try and please everyone. No, you need to please the fans that matter the most. So it's good that they have difficulty settings and accessibility options, and they've changed some of the stuff back that they just realized they got a lot of stick last week in that April Fool's post, and then the notes for the previous update, they got absolutely battered left, right, center, and the comments went on for pages and pages and pages of Phasmo fans, average, casual, hardcore, longevity players. Literally everyone, more or less echoing the things that we said last week, and some of the stuff that I picked up on was from a few people that mentioned it and I quoted some comments from the Phasmo Steam forums, and it's great that they've come out and made some changes and changed some stuff back, because a lot of it was unnecessary. But I do like the fact that they've still stuck to their guns and said, right, okay, we admit that we've made too many changes. We'll revert some of them back. However, the ghost can now spot you behind here, and I think that's a good way forward, because then you really shouldn't be 100% safe place in a haunted house like that literally has things hunting you. You say, it's hide and seek, or it's hunt and seek, isn't it? Get out alive while you can. And I think that adds more tension to the game, because you don't know if you're safe or not. As before with the doors, you was like, oh, you can't get me, I'm 100% safe. There's no fear, there's no no terror, there's no that ruins the experience. And as a developer of a tension filled game, that you don't want that. You don't want your players to feel safe and luxurious behind the door. Oh, look, see this door? You can't get me. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or in an RV.
Exactly. But yeah, it's good that they've done this, and I hope that moving forward they do start implementing some of the things that the core audience and casual and average players have been asking for. I think one of the things they need to address is people like myself, I like to hide in the RV all the time, especially when they've put the stuff in the paid for all the equipment and stuff. There should be like an option where a quick, easy access where you can just pay for like quarter of it, so you can just quick pay and then add a set amount of items, and you can do the same and have it like a preset. So you just so everyone puts a bit in. You know what I mean? So then that eliminates that risk of, oh, I'm going to lose thousands and thousands and thousands of in-game currency. It's not the fact that they can't afford it. It's the fact that it just takes a little while to get all that back, especially with the grinding and stuff. But I think they'll get around to that, and I think that's just a few niggly things that are, from my personal perspective, because I'm a casual player, when I play, I don't earn enough money, and I look at my balance, and I've got like 11,000 credits. I'm like, how? You know, so it's a balancing act for sure. Um, Obviously, I don't want to make it too easy because there's no risk and reward. Then, is there? That's the whole point of it. It's risk and reward, hunt
Yeah.
and seek, investigation. I do want to see more scary stuff. Though I really hope they implement the shadows and the shadow people in the game, so it's not just the ghost you've got to be wary of. It's the shadow man. I really hope that they implement some of those
I yeah
fan driven ideas.
yeah of course.
And also kudos to the developers because it's still in beta as well. But it was so easy for them to go down the route of loot boxes,
Yeah,
and they're showing no sort of like direction of going down that way. So you've got to give them full play for that because they could really think we could milk this by sticking loot boxes in there, and it'd be so easy. And thankfully they haven't, and it doesn't look like they're going to.
no. Hopefully we'll get some. I would pay for some DLC, like maps or even an equipment pack. If it was a couple, I can't. These devs don't strike me as they're all overpriced stuff. So the game's quite reasonably priced anyway, so I can't imagine them if they did go the DLC route. At least I can't imagine them saying, "Oh, there's an equipment pack. Oh, it's 30 quid."
Yeah.
I can't see that happening. Yeah, hopefully, we'll get some DLC in the future after the game's released and out of early access. Because I really want to see this game do well, and do do better than it is. It is already like the number one Ghost game on
Yeah.
Steam. I really hope it comes to consoles. I really
Yeah,
hope it
once
has.
it's checked a bit, they still will, yeah.
I really hope it has crossplay as well, so then we can get everybody involved, capping their pants,
Yeah.
hiding in lockers
It,
and behind doors.
yeah, I was just going to add, like, as you were saying that as well, it is still in early access game, and had they released the game prior to any of these updates, I think we would all be saying, "Oh, you've released it too soon." So, like, I'm glad that it hasn't released. I would. The worst thing to have is to someone to say, "Right, we're finished, we're done." Now, if you look about how many updates and patches and patch notes they've dropped over, I think it's 2 years. Yes, it came out in 2020. So yes, over the last 2 years or so, or just under 2 years. They've done a lot of balancing and trying to get it right. Yes, they've got it. I think ultimately 99% they've got it. They've balanced it fairly well. There was only that 1% where they've got it wrong, and I think that's the biggest time that they've actually really, as a developer, they've got it wrong. But it's taken them 5 days to correct that and
to act on it.
To act upon it, and like however long, I don't know how long a patch takes to do. Probably seconds. Like I said in last week's podcast, if they can switch the doors from one side to the other and then switch them back again, obviously they've got the ability to change the room, the layout. So I don't know how long it takes to do that. If when it first came out, this was a single developer, or as a small group, maybe two. It
was one bloke when it came out, and then he got another guy shortly afterwards.
He got another guy to help him. Doing it. So yeah, when this first came out in its core state, that was quite frightening. And at times, I was very scared to play it. I must admit, when I first picked up this game, I had people in my chat going, "Would you like me to come and join in your stream?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you don't mind." They showed me how to play the game, and I hats off to them. Again, I've taken my hat off twice tonight. But thanks very much.
Keep your hat on.
But yeah, I'm glad that they came in, because they gave me the sort of confidence to carry on. And here we are, almost 560 hours in, and yeah, and I'm rather grateful for that they did. So yeah, it's been one of my favourite games, and hopefully they don't come out of early access. I always keep an eye on any updates that they try and do. They do have a Trello page which gives you the roadmap as to what they want to try and do, and things that they have already done, and what they're currently trying to work on. So yeah, this is a game that's gonna keep on as long as the developers are gonna be passionate about this game. this game will continue on for a long time. And I don't know when it'll come out of early access, but obviously, like I said, as long as they keep trying to balance it.
I think they're looking to get out of early access by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think that's from previous posts. I think that's what they're aiming for.
They're on course for it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So, yeah.
the big part of the cosmetic update was leaning towards that.
Yeah.
Like the end goal. So
yeah, it's getting it's getting more and more polished, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at
cool.
some of the again, in part of the update, like this is the update, the 7th of April update. I think they remodeled the sound sensor, so it looks more like a microphone, and they've redesigned how it works more.
Yeah, so much better. Yeah.
And reflections in mirrors as well.
Oh yeah, yes. Today when I was playing, the reflection in mirrors is whatever you've just placed down. I mean, you don't get character reflections, but you do get object reflections, which is something that they never had in at the start.
I really hope they get better character models.
Yeah. I mean,
more polished.
They
not
are
bendy Wendy character models. Yeah,
they are improving slowly on those. I mean, you can see just on the character selection, there's slight improvements there, but again, it's still not fully.
Because it is emotionally confusing to watch 3D play as a girl, and
or you have the same bloke 3 times.
Yeah,
you don't know who's who. Yeah. It'd be funny if you could import the Ghost Hunter Corp females and their broken backs into Phasmophobia.
That was the only thing they ever got right, I think, in that game.
They're the only assets that are actually decent.
Yeah.
Hey.
But yeah. Anyway, I think we pretty much done with that.
Yeah.
So that should we go into a news set? Some more news then.
News.
I think it might actually be worth segueing into this then. Speaking of developers, sticking around. No Man's Sky has got a update to come out. Which is really interesting. So this is taken from a PC Gamer, by the way. This is my own work. I don't have time to write anything else. I'm not that skilled. So become a cargo smuggling space pirate in No Man's Sky's Outlaw update. So yeah, Twitter got so again, I'm reading this from the article. Twitter got all excited the other day when the No Man's Sky creator Sean Murray posted a tiny pirate flag emoji. That's all it took for the hype to get dialed up as fans speculated this must be the dawn of something new. Space pirate update on the brink of release with cargo smuggling, pirate missions, and black market features. Turns out a lot of that was correct. The new No Man's Sky update is called Outlaws, and
we've got to play this game now.
Be able to live the life of a space pirate in the infinite cosmos. The No Man's Sky seedy underworld will be explored in the update, including pirating missions, black market technology, contraband smuggling, and pirate-run spaceports in Outlaw star systems. Also, there are cape physics. Because there are capes. Check it out in the trailer above. So there's the trailer above. They've just talked about that. Sorry, I could have just.
This looks awesome.
I remember an update. I don't remember which update. According to this article, that added a dormant space station. They were lit with spooky red lights and were completely abandoned. No vendors, no NPCs at all. From the trailer, it looks like those stations may be populated with space pirates now. That's where you acquire new pirate missions and black market tech. Like-minded players can even acquire a forged passport that will allow them to bypass the authorities, says the games developer Hello Games. To go along with your new life as an outlaw, how about some new ships? For the first time since the Living Ship update, a new class of starship has been added, and they look pretty darn sick. With those extendable solar sails, you won't have to ditch any of the current ships. You'll find a new solar ship. Either the maximum number of player ships has been increased from 6 to 9. Naturally, smuggling contraband will attract the attention of trigger-happy sentinels, but that's not all you'll need to worry about. Just because you're now a pirate doesn't mean you still have to fight other pirates. Because stealing from thieves is a good way to make a living, you won't be alone in battle. However, AI controlled squad mates can be hired to act as your personal wingman, and they can even be upgraded over time to improve their flight and combat skills. You'll be leading a real space pirate gang. To go along with all the extra pew pew pew, you'll be doing combat has been overhauled. Handling has been improved, weapons have a new visual effects, and enemy starships now have shields. Says, hello games. A depth has also been added to weapon selections with a variety of specialists' secondary effects such as slowing enemies, engines, or disabling shield systems.
Who needs Starfield? Seriously, what is this? Right, why aren't we playing this? Why are we not been playing this? That's what I want to know.
Anyway, so ship-to-ship combat can now occur within a planet's atmosphere too, and pirates may raid your settlements. For those who find space combat difficult, flight accessibility has been significantly improved with a new auto follow mode.
Oh, thank God for
Are you ready for life crime, space crime? The Outlaws update arrives today, and as always, it's free for owners of No Man's Sky.
How much content?
How much content is that?
How much content does this game have? It's like immense.
This and
20 quid.
Yeah.
Or Game Pass. Sorry, Steve. I'm really excited now.
I just wanted to add that the update was as of the 13th of April.
2 days ago.
Yeah. Just because the last line was the update's out now, so I just wanted to add that the date wise. So by the time people get to this, it would already be out there.
Right,
so a game that came out in 2016 is what we on? 6 years ago or whatever. Now I don't know. I lost track of time, but yeah.
I'm downloading it on Game Pass so we can play everyone. Everyone can play on Game Pass.
For a game when it first came out, again, this is why it was a nice segue to go into, because it's developers who give a damn about their game. When it first came out, this received one of the worst hates of all times for a game of its time.
I bought this when it first came out, and it was
So did I. Yep.
Yeah. Irritated the hell.
I had already mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I did the same as everybody else that was big at the time. I tried to follow those big streamers, the big YouTubers. I made about 5 videos of about 20 minutes each. So you got an hour's worth of gameplay, and it was the start to finish, and that was it. That was the end of the game. Got to the end of the game. And they was like, oh, you're supposed to be able to go on infinitely. It was like, where's this? Where's multiplayer? Oh, it does have multiplayer, because it's supposed to be really big, and like they flat out sort of like lied. There was
misled everybody and rushed production, and it turns out that it wasn't. It was the guys in charge, and Microsoft was to blame, and there was loads of them pointing fingers and blame blaming. But basically, they showed a bunch of fake trailers, fake screenshots, fake demos, and stuff like that. And completely just tried to pull the wool over the fans, and everyone was like, "Nah, that ain't happening."
Yeah.
And
At what point did you think we was going to notice? You know?
yeah,
Yeah. It was like it was all like graphically it wasn't the best. It was like really broken in areas. And then
yes,
the the game's lead what's his name? Sean Murray, of the lead of Hello Games, was he went into hiding, and like there was no there was nothing on Twitter. There's no everyone went, well, we want a refund. Where's our money
Yeah.
back? And nothing. And then all of a sudden, they brought out this update, and they said like, yeah, and people started talking about it, going, oh, there's another update. Oh, really? Okay. Oh, we're not interested in that because it's going to be lies. And then people started people who stuck with it were like, no, really, look at this game. It's actually better. And we're like, no, it isn't. No, it's. And then there was another, and I think there was like 2 updates sort of back to back almost. The game just went mad again. It just went crazy. It was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, possibly 3 years ago now. But like they brought out these update. Again, it's just like Phasmo. They just kept giving content, and so yeah, kudos to
it's not just like updates and graphical improvements and glitches, fixes, and patches. These are full-on expansions that you
Yeah,
could easily
yeah.
charge for.
and
You know, and even if they only charge like a couple of quid or a fiver, I would happily pay for the. You know, and I'm one of these. It's like if it's worth it, I'll pay for it. In terms of, especially if it's a game that deserves the support. And the fact that these guys have come but from the brink of, you know, CD Projekt Red levels of bankruptcy in terms of fandom, and then turned it around and now are literally in the good graces of pretty much everybody, and everything, and the fact that they just bring out all this content for free.
yeah.
You know, and every time they bring out content, it's massive. It's loads of stuff. The fact that you could go into any planet and still name stuff after yourself after all this time because they still haven't found everything in the universe that's created is hilarious to me. On some random planet when I played it about a year and a half ago, there's a stone called 3D Stone in the game somewhere. So it's honestly the game has got so many things going for it. They added NPCs, they added quests, they added all the Minecraft stuff, the base building,
Yeah,
the ship
yeah.
building, the finding schematics and stuff to make weapons, and now they've overhauled combat, and now they've had a space. You know, space combat was already there, but now they've overhauled it. You've got new spaces. You can be a space pirate and go around in space and plunder ships and get missions and attack. You know, one thing, I'm not a big fan of PvP, but in this sort of scenario, I think this would be fun.
Yeah.
This would be
That's
fun to do.
my worry with it is that I would want to go around and investigate it. Am I still going to be able to do that solo, or am I going to have to worry about someone who's just who's been playing it from year dot and is suddenly going to, you know, I'm going to be sat there on Apollo 7 and suddenly they're going to turn up on a Star Destroyer, you know?
Yeah. Give me all your stuff or I'll blow you out the sky.
Yeah, because there will be people who go out and they're just going to like farm
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
If there's not an
Unfortunately,
option there to turn that off.
yeah. Unfortunately, that probably might be an issue for some. In likelihood of how big the universes are, you'd be quite hard pressed to come into that sort of scenario. I think you're more likely to come across that scenario if you're. I'm sure it'll put groups of players with groups of players. So if you've got like 4 or 5 people playing together, I'm sure it'll put you up against another in a world with other 4 or 5 player groups are playing together to populate the servers. I'm not sure how it all works. But I wouldn't imagine it'd be a big concern. But if it does happen, obviously you heard it here first on the Bits and Pieces podcast by Jelly, pointing out
Jelly hates
you know, yeah, this told you it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
I can remember this being but ugly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looks amazing. I'm just watching a
Yeah.
trailer now.
Yeah, I was
It looks
watching
like
the
a different
trailers.
game.
It's
Gameplay looks like a different game.
Yeah.
I'm downloading it now. Sod it.
I'm,
I'll play it.
I downloaded it a little while ago after not this update but the one before, and I just haven't got round to playing it.
yeah.
And but that Yeah.
pick a world, and there's a thing of all these games that you got to mine and make stuff. It takes time to set up your base and get going, and we've all got to find the same planet and spawn on it. Thankfully, multiplayer teleports you there, so you can all spawn in on the same world together with your with your own ship, which is great because then you can get in the ship and crash into each other. I remember doing that with Harvey. We mucked about on it, and we ended up we was doing chicken with our ships, just mucking about. That's quite. It's a fun game. The crafting thing, the mining stuff isn't as tedious as you think. It's like cave core keeper. It's quite fun. It's quite. It's not. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's relaxing because if you accidentally hit one of those scanner bots and you get and then you get shot from about a bazillion angles by these little annoying, round tundry black with massive spikes on, shoot you from everywhere, and even like in Elden Ring with the lobster can snipe you from miles away. It's exactly like that. You run off and it's 2 million miles away and you still get shot. So it's those things are really annoying. Thankfully, they're not. They did patch them, make them not as aggressive. So yeah, but I honestly I think this game's definitely worth picking up. I bought it for 15 quid on Steam. I bought it in a sale when it had all its after it came out and it had all that nonsense after its first its first major update. That's when I bought the game, and then I've never really played it. It's one of those. It's one of those Steam sales. Oh, I'll get that game. It's on sale. I'll buy it, and then it just sits in your inventory for decades before you even touch it. And the next time I played it, it was on Game Pass. So it's definitely been around a while, but for how much they have done and what the developers have done is nothing short of unheard. It's now unheard of in this day and age. Now, in the days we release it broken and fix it later mentality. These guys released it broken, but not only did they fix it, they made it better and improved on every aspect of it, and gave back to the community and gave the fans what they was asking for, which is a massive win.
Yeah.
And it pains me to say, but there isn't many companies that do this anymore. It's like, especially in the AAA industry, that we release it, it's broken. Oh, you don't like it? Oh well, tough shit. We'll fix it when we can be asked to fix it after we finish sacking all our staff and mistreating our staff. We'll fix it at some point in the future. Okay, Blizzard. Sorry, Activision. Sorry, got the case of the shit. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't. As you can tell, I don't like Activision. Did anyone tell that? Has that come across yet?
It's never come up once.
But yeah, it's a great. It's good for developers and it's good for the gaming industry that we have a team of people that do this for their fans and their game and still support it after all this time. Who knows? It may even be Starfield. Starfield won't be needed, I don't think. Unless Starfield is going to have to do something incredible to pull the No Man's Sky community away from it. So yeah, it's going to have to be something special to get them away from this game, because if they're continuing to add all of this content and now you're going to have it's just the tip of the iceberg from what they gather, what they're doing. So we could have full blown No Man's Sky Star Wars. You'll have Jedi's in it next, and we will have like Darth Vader turn up in his big sphere of death with the
there's a mod.
yeah, we'll have Palpatine going. Was it kill him or whatever he said. I can't do a Palpatine voice, but yeah.
Well, Thomas the Tank Engine. There's always Thomas the Tank Engine.
Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo. Scoob! Found lightsaber, Scoob!
I'm not doing the voice. I've got a bad throat. I had a bad throat since about Friday.
I can't do it. I can't do Scooby Doo.
No, I can't. That'd actually kill me, I think.
Yeah, I think you wouldn't be able to talk
I will say that Freedy's Velma impression just then was great.
Excellent. Right, is there any more news?
No. I don't think there is actually.
There isn't much. There isn't much happening this week, is there? Let's be honest.
No, there isn't.
It's been a bit quiet.
It's very quiet. Actually.
I have got some stuff I could talk about from the world of YouTube news, but I don't know how what's the word I'm looking for? Verified it is. I might not mention it because I'm not sure if it's
maybe come back to us on that one next week then.
Yeah,
if it's
maybe
if it's still relevant.
Yeah, it's to do with Blizzard, who I've mentioned in passing.
Oh, great.
No,
but yeah,
I've got to sleep in a few hours, Freed, and I don't think I've got time for it.
No, it was just a quick one. They basically Bellard News, who's on YouTube, have been reporting on the Blizzard fiasco over there at the moment. There's roots of corruption, no bounds, and they as you know, they got out of that court case, got off very lightly with a very light, paltry at $18 million, which is not even a day's income for them. Apparently, the court system and the higher ups in one of the states. I'm not going to start name dropping because I don't want to say names, but they reported that one of the like senators or someone really really high up in the United States government is pally wally or best chums with the Activision's boss. And basically, the legal team that was handling it basically were getting all the information ahead of time for Activision. So anything they were getting penalised for or acted upon, they were getting told weeks and weeks in advance through leaks through their offices via their broken team. So they basically paid off the team, and this is why they were able to get away with stuff for so long, as it had come across their books or whatever, and they'd either pay it off for the people in question very quickly, or they'd make it disappear. And this person in question is very very well connected, and this is why Activision is really hard to nail down. And basically the couple of lawyers that were working for this firm who were doing a really good job and starting to get to the crux of the problem, were removed unfairly from the practice because of Activision. It's close ties with this head honcho, and the head honcho removed them both, and they're basically trying to call him out on it and get him removed themselves. Don't really mess with lawyers, do you? Let's be honest, you don't mess with lawyers. If you're going to sack two of your best employees who are taking the unruly to town, and then you do unruly stuff on them, you're just asking for it, aren't you? You're just asking for trouble. But these guys are so powerful that they can just make you disappear like that. So it makes you wonder, how far does the corruption go in Activision? This is all speculation, hearsay on my part at this point, but it's. I really think that should be. I would say investigated, but who can investigate? I think the only way it's going to be fair is if someone from outside the US investigates them. Some sort of international corruption agency. Let's get the MI6 over there. Come on, sort them out. Just James Bond in there. I'll take my games not shaken and not stirred, made properly, or you're going out the window.
Sonic the Hedgehog as Blofeld.
There was. So if you want to know about the whole shebang, look up Bellard News on YouTube and watch their videos on it. It's quite interesting, and it's quite scary how deep the rabbit hole goes. But who knows what the future holds for Activision? But there's a company that doesn't do what it's supposed to do for its fans, only does what it does for its shareholders, and doesn't even give a monkeys about its staff. Sounds like a bunch of what names? I will say there's been so much Elden Ring in the news this week as well, especially on PC gaming. Lighthearted. Let's lighten up a little bit. Somebody made a Diablo mod for Elden Ring, so you can play through the whole. You can play through the whole game as a isometric view Diablo controls. That's an experience, isn't it? That flips the game on its head. that'd be fun.
It's got to be almost impossible, surely.
Yeah, that'd be really because there's no you'd be chugging. You'd have to decrease the timer on health potions so you can just chug them for days.
I'd have to
Just
have
running
one
around, chug,
intravenous.
chug, chug.
Just plug the health potion into your vein, and that'd be the only way I could play it.
Exactly. There's another one I saw as well. Oh, where is it? Hang on, I'm literally on the page. 1 second. Oh yeah, an Elden Ring science, an Elden Ring scientist. How about that? An Elden Ring scientist did the math. The Erd tree is taller than the Alps in real scale. If you had to scale it into the real world,
I see. I
that's
love facts like that.
that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? So there's even a video on it. So the Erd tree, the tallest building in the world, is on YouTube if you want to watch it. Um, for software specialist Zuli the Witch. That's their YouTube channel, Zuli the Witch, took it upon themselves to measure it. Let me give you. Should we want some stats? Should we have some figures for this little bit of fun fact, Zoe? So apparently, did 9 years of research in Half-Life 2, scaling things to the real world. Zuli measures a tree from its base beneath the overworld to the tip of its tallest branch, concluding that the Erd tree's model's total height is approximately 5,048 meters tall, or 16,562 feet. This is taller than the highest mountain in the Alps, Mont Blanc, which is equivalent to the elevation of 4,808 meters, or 15,773 feet tall. And that'd be cool, and having a giant tree that big.
Well, not really. We had acorns on it.
It's got coconuts. It's even worse.
Take out half your street.
Yeah, it just feels like the meteorite has just hit the earth because it's dropped a bloody coconut. Puff of smoke everywhere. Just a cloud over Europe, and no one can go nowhere anymore. It's just, what's going on? Oh, the Erd tree's shedding its coconuts again. Oh, great.
Yeah. I wonder if the bird life up there is also proportionally as big. You know, there's a sparrow up there sitting there going, tweet.
And there's one more thing that I noticed this. The funny thing about Elden Ring, just a bit more comedy, is that there's an ability which literally makes you do a Mario jump, and you can Mario jump on everything, and it's called the giant stomp or giant something or other.
I've seen that.
The butt slam. Yes, dubbed the butt
Butt
slam.
slam. Yeah, I've got that.
And the ground slam it's called, and it's so OP. It works in everything. It works in all bosses except the big tree things. So any human like boss, you can just jump on and flatten them, and then you just pound them while they're flat on the floor. You get your mimic to do it as well. It's hilarious. You just literally just boing 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 boing. And the only thing that's missing is a sound effect. You jump on them, the boing boing. Someone needs to mod that sound effect in, and then let's go when you do it. That'd be great. But that's a bit of
Someone
fun.
probably has.
So that's a fun little thing. Mario jump your way to victory in Elden Ring. The butt slam.
Well, Free, you're our resident Elden Ring player. I think that's you to do.
I've already
A
done
butt
it.
stream.
That's what I was doing. A butt stream. That's how I beat the boss with the butt slam. That's how I beat him. Until they nerf it, and then it won't be a butt slam anymore. It'll be a nerf slam.
The problem is you've effectively just then teabagged the Elden Beast to death.
Exactly. That's the best way to play the game. Teabag your enemy to death. And it's not Elden Ring anymore. It's Teabag Ring, isn't it? You teabagger, rise, teabagger. Oh dear, Steve's thinking, what is he talking about? Can we just get on with this? Shall we?
Oh, dear. That's a totally
Oh.
new game. Teabagging the maidens, the finger maidens. Yeah.
That is a whole new concept, isn't it? Teabagging the fingers.
Mm.
Is that the same game? We're talking about the same thing here.
You've just gone down a different pathway now, haven't you?
I'm just joining in with the unnecessary adult content on Steam earlier.
Oh no! Oh dear.
There'll be a mod of that now. There'll be a modded version of some hentai nonsense on Steam that'll come up saying teabag fingers modeled on the Elden Ring counterparts. Be made by the same person as that one person that seems to make all the visual novels on Steam, where there's got all the 3D modeled women. It's all plastered all over the front page, and you click through it, and it's always the same style of game. It's the same stuff. It's like it's just going to be there, isn't it? I'm going to wake up tomorrow. It's going to be new mod out for Don't Be a Dick version. It's called Teabaggers. Oh dear, what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I think I'm going insane. I've gone insane.
I think is that a good time to sort of end it there, isn't it? Just sort of like
this is what
trying to
happens when
save
Beth
you.
not here.
I know, but Beth, give us
Whilst we've still got some credibility.
Yeah, what's that? What credibility? Haven't he? Why is he on the show? Get rid of him. What's the matter?
Save us. Give us a joke of the week.
Oh, Jelly can feel the joke of the week.
Jelly,
did a good one last time.
All right. I've got a joke then. I'd say just to totally lower the tone.
Can't do any more than what I just did.
Right. This guy turns to his girlfriend. He goes, "Darling, was I your first one?" And she turns to him, looks, and goes, "Yes. All my others ranked up out of 7." No.
I'm not gonna lie, I was panicking a little bit.
Panicking after what we just talked about.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know how far down that was gonna go.
Another section cut. This is not appropriate.
Oh yeah.
Making my editing life hell. I'm to cut all this out.
It's just gone from like 2.5 hours to 57 minutes. It's just like lost an hour and a half.
Well, what you've got to have is like a bits and pieces after dark edition.
Yes. Well, that's there you go. That could be an idea. I might have to steal. Yeah.
another idea from Jelly in this one stream.
The after dark section happens after the podcast has ended, but continues on a much
uncensored,
more, the uncensored version. Oh, that could be dangerous.
Oh no,
that could be very. dangerous.
We like danger.
I laugh in the face of danger. All right. As always, then we're finishing on our jokes, so or at least we normally do. So let's just get on with some socials then, so we can end up, because I think we've been on long enough. Before it gets before it gets to our hand. Before. Oh, right.
Failed.
Is anyone
failed miserably?
Right, Freddie, are you streaming this week? Next week?
Am I? Yes, I will be. Yes.
Right.
I'm doing now. Thursdays are now my community nights. So Jackbox games, words on stream, what the dub and other stuff will be every Thursday, starting at 9 p.m. at www.twitch.tv/Freedyshow. Tuesdays, probably be returning to what's it called, Resident Evil 8. On Tuesday, we're going to be tackling the giant evil baby. I'm going to be going to be crying my tits off watching playing through that, and then obviously Saturday's podcast, and I might squeeze in some extra streams as well. I might even do a bonus day stream on Monday. So please head over to my Twitch page and give us a follow. Much appreciated.
Okay, and for me, twitch.tv/Funnybitboi, and I normally stream weekends as and when I can. At some point, it might change. I don't know. That's up to the powers that be. But yeah, currently that's what I do. Over Saturdays, like do like 3 till 6, and then we do the podcast at 9 till late. Should we say? Covering
your bases there.
Yeah, covering all bases that way, just in case. The Sundays I usually do a 3 till 6 gaming, and then I normally do a community game of a horror, some kind of a horror, usually horror or horror based. Usually Phasmo gets picked, or one of the other ghost hunting games, Devour. And I think I've been invited to 7 Days to Die tomorrow night, so I might be doing some of that tomorrow. So hopefully you can come and join me then from about 8 till late again on Sunday. And yeah, then I'm basically back to normal sort of from Monday. I don't have that extra bank holiday because this weekend is the Easter weekend as we are going live and recording this. So hopefully you'll have a great Easter, whatever you do, whatever you get up to, if that is something you normally celebrate.
Happy Chocolate Day, everybody.
Happy Chocolate Day.
And Present Day.
And Present Day, yeah.
And Cooking Bunnies Day.
Easter eggs. Easter eggs. See, this is a bit of a joke, I think, for PizzaBeth to just put in Easter eggs in the chat. So then hopefully I'll read it out. But this time I am reading it out because it doesn't matter. Because A, we got to the end of the podcast, and B, it's relevant. So
Easter eggs for days.
Yeah, and not something that you just read upon whilst trying to talk about a spotlight. Which is kind of amusing at the same time. But yeah, otherwise you could also get at me.
Get Steve.
Funny bits. funny bits be on Twitter, and yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you either tomorrow at some point or next week. Whatever you do, have a great rest of the weekend.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody. Take care.
Yes.
And thank you very much, WereJellyogre, for joining us this week.
I'll see you in 10 more episodes.
I'll see you in 10 more episodes. Yeah.
We're
getting back in. If anyone does want to join us, by the way, please feel free to hook up one of us, whether you can speak to me, Freddie, or even Beth when she's in. Even though she's not here today, she is in the chat somewhere, but she does have a
you don't even have to be a streamer, just be someone that wants to come in and have a chat with us, hang with us, and talk about games and other nonsense that we come up with, especially me.
And yeah, you could be part of the Bits and Pieces podcast, which is also found anywhere on iTunes, now music, Spotify, and anywhere that has access to RSS feeds, which help produce.
And YouTube.
YouTube as well. Help produce.
And Twitch.
And Twitch, yeah.
Yeah, we're out there somewhere.
Limited time on
anywhere
Twitch.
That's anywhere that you can find a podcast, we should also be on any of those platforms.
Yep.
There we go. I think I've covered everything. All right, that's it. Good. I'm done. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Bye,
Goodbye.
Bye, Mr. Steve. Bye, Mr. Jelly.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Freedy.
Bye-bye.
It's like the end of the Waltons.
When you put you on the phone and you're saying goodbye to someone. Bye.
You put the phone down first.
Yeah.